Basic Skill Bootcamp, Pre-Algebra Symbols. Today's lesson, students will learn different symbols for multiplication and division to solve for the unknown variable x. To solve for what? The unknown variable x. Very good. So before we begin today, we need to go over the different symbols. Okay, symbols kind of look like pictures. These symbols represent multiplication. Okay, there are different symbols that we use to represent multiplication. We're used to seeing what? What does this mean? This means multiply, right? So x usually means to multiply numbers together. Okay, but there are other symbols you can use. One of them is a dot. What is this? A dot. And then this one is called parentheses. So go ahead and make them with your hands like this. These are called parentheses. So these are three different ways that we can multiply. So let's go ahead and do an example. We're going to take two numbers we're going to multiply. Let's try 5 times 2. So you can write 5 times 2 three different ways. The first way you can write it is 5 with an x, 2. And you know that 5 times 2 is what? 5 times 2 is 10. Another way you can write 5 times 2 is 5 with a dot in the middle, okay, and then 2. 5 times 2. This is also saying 5 times 2. These are equal. These are the same. That's 10 and that is 10. The last way to write multiplication is to use parentheses. To use what? Parentheses. So you put the 5 outside of the parentheses. Then you make the parentheses. Go ahead, make those like that. And on the inside, you're going to put the number you're going to multiply by, which is 2. Okay? So this also says 5 times 2. Go ahead and get that down. Now, division also has 3 different symbols to represent division. Okay, and division is basically taking a big number, we call it the dividend, and we break it into equal parts using the divisor. So let's use another group of numbers, and let's go ahead and use the fact family of 5, 2, and 10, because that'll be very easy, okay? So pretty simple. We have to take the big number, which is the answer. Remember, what is 5 times 2? 5 times 2 is, gotta remember now, 5 times 2 is 10, okay? All right, so we're going to use this to help us solve division. So one way you could write this division problem is 10 divided by 2. The last thing I'm going to teach you is another meaning for x, because we know that x usually means multiply, right? Okay, but in algebra, x is a letter. It's a what? It's a letter. And letters represent numbers, okay? So x, you don't know what it is. It could be any number. So we call it an unknown number. What do we call it? An unknown number. And because the number can change, we can also call x a variable, okay? Because variable means change. What does variable mean? Change, okay? So when you see x, it is asking you for a number that you have to figure out. Because remember that division is the opposite of multiplication. So 10 divided by 2 is what? It's 5, yeah? Okay. The way to solve a division problem is by using the symbol of this box, okay? You've seen it like this. So what goes in the box? In the box is the dividend, right? That's the big number. So the big number we know is 10. Then we're going to divide it by, and what is the divisor? The divisor is 2. So that's another way of saying 10 divided by 2. Okay, you're always starting with that dividend, which is the big number. That's what you say first. You say 10 divided by 2, or 10 divided by 2. Do that with me. 10, and with your finger, divided by, you're making the box, 2. Now the last way to do this division is a way you probably haven't seen before. Now this is not a subtraction sign. Is this a subtraction sign? No. This is actually called a fraction bar. What is it called? A fraction bar. So you can also, and this is the way that we'll be mostly doing it, use a fraction bar to divide. So what do you think is going to go on top? What do you think is going to go on top? The 10 or the 2? The dividend is the 10. Okay, so you're going to put the dividend on the top, which is 10. So 10 And you're going to divide by what? What is the divisor on the outside? It's 2. So 10 divided by 2, this is what it's saying. What is 10 divided by 2? Okay, 10 divided by 2. Well, 10 divided by 2, you know, is 5, okay? So when you see this, it is telling you 10 divided by 2. Go ahead and get that down. So let's use what we know about different symbols to solve for unknown numbers or variables, okay? So we have the triangle that we saw yesterday, and remember, at the bottom of the triangle is a multiplication table. This is saying 3 times some number equals 27, okay? Now, in the middle, what do you notice that's different? Is there an X anymore? No, there's a different symbol. What is it? It's a dot. What is it? It's a dot. So it's saying 3 times a number equals 27. Another way to write that equation. An equation is going to have an equal sign. What is it going to have? An equal sign. Is 3x equals 27. Okay? This is saying 3 times one number equals 27. Or it's asking what number times 3 is 27. Okay? So if this still confuses you, you could also look at this with a parenthesis. Okay? It's saying 3 times a number equals 27. What is that number? So do you already know what that number is? 3 times what number is 27? Anybody? Okay, if you don't know, to solve a multiplication problem like this, you have to do the opposite. What is the opposite of multiplication? It's division. Okay? So in order to solve this problem, we need to look at the number that's being multiplied by x, which is 3, right? 3. Okay. If you use this as a divisor, the only difference is that you're going to have to divide by 3 on both sides of this equation, okay? Because whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So what I want you to do is you're going to go ahead and make a fraction bar, because this means divided by. Okay. Now, what is the divisor going to be here? The divisor is going to be 3. So I want you to divide by 3 on both sides, okay? See, divide by 3 on both sides. All right, are we ready to keep going? Okay, so one thing you have to know is that when you divide the same number on top as the bottom, you actually end up with a 1. Okay, because this is saying 3 divided by 3, right? How many times do I skip count by 3 to get to 3? Once, because 1 times 3 is 3. Now you're left with, you're trying to find what x is, right? You're trying to find this unknown number. So you're going to say, okay, this is x. X will equal whatever 27 divided by 3 is. So you're going to write x equals 27 divided by 3. Okay, do you know what that is yet? 27 divided by 3. If you don't know, you could write 27 divided by 3. And then you skip count by 3 to get to 27, right? Yeah? Yeah? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. So what is it, guys? It is 9. Okay? So you're going to write x equals 9. And then you're going to put a box around your answer. So go ahead and do that for me. Okay. So the last step is putting a 9 in the box, because that is the answer, putting a 9 in the box. All right, guys. Next step. Now it's getting a little simpler. If 7 times a number equals 42, what is that number? What times 7 is 42? Well, you have to think the opposite. You have to think division. So what is the first thing you're going to do, guys? You're going to go ahead and make a fraction bar on both sides. What are you going to do? You're going to make a fraction bar, because a fraction bar means to divide. So we're going to divide both sides by the number that is touching x, okay? So the divisor in this case is what? What is it? What's this number? It's 7. So we divide this side by 7 and this side by 7. So that's step 1, okay? Whenever you have the same number on the top as the bottom and you're doing division, 7 divided by 7 equals 1. So you're going to put a 1 through it, which means it does not exist anymore. Now it is invisible. Okay? So what are you left with here? What's left? An x, right? So now x will equal 42 divided by 7. Okay, 42 divided by 7. Let's write that using this symbol here, which is the symbol that we're used to. All right, so we're going to say, okay, 42 divided by 7. Now, do we know what 42 divided by 7 is? If you don't know, you could write it another way, which is 42, that's the dividend, write the box, and then 7. And then you skip count by 7 to get to 42. I'll go ahead and skip count with you. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42. Okay, so how many tallies did I make? If you can see, I made 6 tallies. So 7 times 6 is 42. So my friends, what does x equal? What is the unknown number? The unknown number is 6. Okay, and you're going to put a 6 right there. Yeah, because 6 times 7 is 42. Is this making sense? Okay, go ahead and get that down. Let's try one more, guys, and that is going to be 9 times what number is 45? Remember, we have a dot in the middle to represent multiplication. 9 times what number is 45? Okay, in order to solve a multiplication problem that you do not know this variable, you don't know, you have to do the opposite. What is the opposite of multiplication? It's division. Say, the opposite of multiplication is division, and this is a fraction bar. What is this? It's a fraction bar. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to divide both sides by, what's the divisor here? What number is touching x? It is 9. That's correct. It's 9. Okay, now we have 45 divided by 9. Okay, so step 2 is, look, you have 9 divided by 9. Remember what that is? Any number divided by itself is 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. All right, so then you're going to be left with, what's left? Because now 1 is invisible. So x is left. You're going to say x equals 45 divided by 9. That's what that says. So I want you to write it using this symbol. Okay, let's do it together. 45 divided by 9. Very good. 45 divided by 9. Oops. Okay, so 45 divided by 9. I want you actually to write this a different way now. Okay, we're going to do 45 in the box. What goes outside of the box? What are you dividing by? Your divisor is 9. Okay, so you're going to skip count by 9 to get to 45. Okay, you could use your skip counting chart, that's fine. Or you can sing the song with me, and it is, if you're happy and you know it. So it's 9, 18, 4, whoops. It's 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. Okay, so I made a tally of what? I made a tally of 5. That's right. So that means that 9 times 5 is 45. So my friends, what does x equal? X equals, that's the quotient. What's the quotient? The quotient is 5. One more thing. What goes in this box? 9 times what? 9 times 5. Very good. Get that down.